Steel boots stomping, crashing the floor. Two wild Yinzers kicking through the door. Loud like a jag-off at a pins game fight. Brace yourself, this ride ain't polite. Two dumb Yinzers, loud and proud. Heads in the clouds, voices in the crowd. Chaos brewing, they don't play nice. Hold on to your iron and grab your prime anti-slice. Tales from the burg with a hint of mayhem. Pierogi powered, nothing can constrain them. Knocking back stories like an icy cold brew. You never know what these two might spew. Two dumb Yinzers, loud and proud. Heads in the clouds, voices in the crowd. Chaos brewing, they don't play nice. Hold on to your iron and grab your prime anti-slice. Tales from the burg with a hint of mayhem. Pierogi powered, nothing can constrain them. Knocking back stories like an icy cold brew. You never know what these two might spew. Two dumb Yinzers, loud and proud. Heads in the clouds, voices in the crowd. Chaos brewing, they don't play nice. Hold on to your iron and grab your prime anti-slice. Rivers collide where the laughs always flow. Black and gold thunder everywhere they go. The madcap kings breaking every mold. With two dumb Yinzers, the stories don't get old.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. This is the Two Dumb Yinzers. This is episode 766. Welcome back to the show this morning. Michael, how are you today?
I'm good, my friend, and the weather is finally cooling down some. I'm feeling a whole hell of a lot better.
Are you getting used to it though? I mean, you know, obviously cooling down. It's on your
Relative.
screen. It says 83. It's going to get up to about 90 today, but that is cooling down considering what we've been enduring. Mike, are you getting used to it in a sense?
Probably, yeah, because it's unfortunately I am getting used to the heat. I hate the heat, but my body's getting used to it. Fortunately, at work it wasn't too bad. It was still hot and humid there, but not as worse as it could be. So I'm glad we got a little cold front coming in of like 80 degrees over the next couple of days.
And once you get acclimated and your body gets used to it for about a week or so, and then it isn't so bad because I just know here in the studio a week ago with this weather, I was dripping today. I'm not as bad. You kind of get used to it. So, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm getting used to it. But here we are. I mean, it's still late June. We have a long summer to go, Mike. Of course, August always gets really, 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 really hot. July's no treat either. So we'll continue to knock it out, Mike. As I said, here we are again, just the end of June. Mike, just a little less than a month till the Steelers show up for training camp. Just a little under 2 months till the guys get ready to play some preseason football. And then beyond that, Mike, it's go time. So say what you will. Say what you must about the hot weather, but you have to endure. You have to go through the hot weather to get to football season. And that's the only logic that makes sense to me.
Me too. You have to grit your teeth and just grind through it. And that light at the end of the tunnel is football.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the only thing that's going to get me through. Otherwise, I'm jumping off the Clemente Bridge.
I know. I'm pushing you off the Clemente Bridge.
Oh, you don't have to push.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Yes, it is Thursday, the day before, Mike, we start our vacation for the show tomorrow. After Friday's show is done, we'll be heading on our week's vacation here for the Two Dumb Yinzers, and we won't be back until the following Monday, I believe, is July 7th. So tomorrow, just 2 more days, Mike. 2 more shows. You're gonna make it, man. You're gonna make it. I think you're gonna make it.
I think.
And you'll be vacationing, probably doing more work than you do when you're not vacationing.
Exactly. I will be putting in more hours while I'm not being paid, which is some bullshit.
Howdy ho! What's going on, Tortilla Jackson on the board? Always great to see my man Tortilla from way out west in California Always great to see Mr. Tortilla. How are you today, sir? Guys, we got some things to talk about. Not a lot. The sports world isn't necessarily on fire here in Pittsburgh, but we do got some topics. We got some things to talk about today, and it's going to be a lot of Steelers. So I think that excites people. So we're going to get into that just shortly, Mike. Let me get started with a couple things here. Um, I wanted to go back just briefly yesterday. We didn't get to talk about it too much, but yesterday the day before we had the power outage, and there's nothing more depleting than having a power outage in 90 plus degree weather.
Yeah.
Every minute that went by, I felt like another degree went up. I really did. And by the time the power came back out, and we were fortunate, it wasn't out all day. I've seen people that's been without power for days before in the heat. We lucked out, Mike, and it was only a little over an hour, but nonetheless, it wasn't bad. But there's nothing more stressful, I think the word is.
Yeah, because you don't know when it's going to end.
Right. I mean, this could be. I mean, you hear the horror tales of people not having power for days. Can you imagine in this way? And I don't know. I don't know how Tortilla died. I don't know how people do it in people, where there's generally more hot weather. But here in Pennsylvania, that's kind of a big thing. If you lose your power, when it's hot, we freak out. Like how the South freaks out when it snows and they can't drive.
Yeah.
And they're all bumping into each other and wrecking. That's what it's like when we have this kind of heat here. And I was panicked. I got to be honest with you, Mike. I was panic stricken when the power did go out on Tuesday.
I was very, very annoyed when the power went out because I finally got everything cool in the studio where I was going to be working, and then it went out, and then it just annoyed me to no end.
Yeah,
it was ready to burn down the house.
And I do want to tie that into something that I did the other day, Mike, when I went to get my to update my license. Get this was in the newspaper yesterday, just 1 week after I went, Mike. PennDOT. Pennsylvania Department of Transportation. PennDOT urges people to wait to apply for their real ID in effort to reduce wait times during heat. Yeah.
You think?
With the old people passing out on the sidewalk wasn't the indication a week ago. I don't. Very, very smart, but I'm like, that's what it was. Remember when I said, why was there so many people in our DMV?
Real ID, man?
It was them stupid real IDs.
Yeah, you got to get them to fly and stuff. And, you've only had like 5 years, 6 years, 7 years ever since they announced this stuff, and everyone's waiting till the last minute.
What I don't understand is, I mean, you get your real ID, which I don't have one, and it has a little star on it. Now, is this everywhere? This is everywhere, right? This is all across the country. This isn't just us, correct?
Yeah, it's nationwide.
And you get your real ID, and it's an ID, but it has a star in the corner.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, I don't know. I'm just inquiring. I'm just kind of talking around to figure it all out. What the fuck is the difference between an ID and a real ID? Is my ID not real because it doesn't have a star? And if it's not real, why do I even have it? Why do I even go through the hassle of getting it?
I have no idea. I've never looked into the difference because when I heard about it, I'm like, I have an ID. It should be good for everything. Just if I want to travel international, I'll get a passport. Why do I get to get another ID? You give me the option of, do you want the real ID or the ID? Well, how about you just make them all the same fucking thing instead of having to choose between and make the one ID all purpose like my ID is now. It's stupid.
Like it's been for the past 30 years of my life.
I think you have to use a birth certificate and another form of ID to get the real ID or some shit like that. Like, who gives a fuck? It's just another hassle. Another thing to make people feel safe and secure that does absolutely fuck all.
And the part of the Western PA that we're in, we're it's generally in the pocket that we're in. It's not as busy and it's not as fast paced as it can be, closer you get to downtown. So I can't imagine what people that were in busy DMVs were going through. I mean, this is crazy. The real ID, there's got to be something going on because all of a sudden, after, a million years of people having regular licenses and it being just fine, now all of a sudden you have to have a little star on the top of your license because you provided a birth certificate. I mean,
Yeah, I forget when this stuff was supposed to be started, but it kept getting pushed back, pushed back, pushed back. They kept moving. Oh yeah, you have until this date, this date, this
It
date.
should continue to keep getting
It's
pushed back because
stupid.
it's stupid.
It's stupid. I got my ID. There you go. If you want me to have an ID, federal government, you mail me my ID. I'm supposed to have for free. Thank you very much.
They'll like you know
Why
it's
do
so,
I got to pay for it? You want me to have it. You want me to prove who I am. I got all the documents for who I am. You send me my ID. I'll send you a picture,
they
and
have
you send me back
they have
my
no
ID.
problem with sending out overabundances of like for example mail-in ballots where they have no idea what's going on once they send it out. But God forbid if you don't have a real fucking ID. I mean, it's insane. Again, I have an ID. What's the problem?
Exactly.
Why is one real? Why is one not? One got a fucking star on the top. So now I'm not I can't fly on airplanes and I can't. What a stupid thing. It's a stupid thing.
Stupid.
What else? What else? What else do we got? Do you have what it takes to be a two dumb yinzer? That's right. Do
There we
you
go.
have what it takes to be a two dumb yinzer after we come back from vacation? Again, we are starting vacation tomorrow after the show. We'll be back on July 7th, which is Monday. But when we come back, we are going to be recruiting. That's right. We're recruiting. We're recruiting a new dumb yinzer. That's right. Do you like the show? Do you like to talk sports? Do you have the shoulders to hold the box that Mike is in on your shoulders to be one of the two dumb yinzers? That's right. It's a full-time, part-time, whatever you got. We are looking for an additional will. And when we come back from the vacation, we will be kicking off a campaign to track and hunt down the newest dumb yinzer. That's right. Right from the viewership, we are bringing in one of you lucky viewers to be the new dumb yinzer. Guys, this will be immediately after we come back from vacation. We're going to kick into that campaign. I can't wait. I'm excited. Mike, I can't wait to talk to some of the people maybe that has some interest in doing this and just really digging in, Mike, because I have a lot of ideas. This is going to be a lot of fun. So if you want to be a two dumb yinzer, again, it's not a full-time commitment. You could, if you have a lot of hours, if you don't have money hours, whatever it may be, we are looking for you. So keep that in mind as we do near July's beginning. We will kick that off as soon as we get back from vacation. I can't wait, Mike. I got to be honest with you. I really can't wait. I have lots of ideas. Seeing on the board that Corey is down. I like that. I like to hear the feedback already. I'm going to get back to these messages in just one second, Mike, but I'm really excited to get in here. And again, I do have a few ideas. I don't want to put them out there just yet.
Yeah.
We'll wait till we come back from vacation to really get into it, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And if you feel that you could be a two dumb yinzer, we want to see you. Put your name in the hat, and we're going to go from there, guys. Again, it's going to be a little bit of a process we're going to do through the show. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, again, keep that in mind.
Yeah.
When we come back from vacation on July 7th, we will be kicking that off. Mike, let's get into some messages here. Yes. Good morning on the board to Corey Beavers, my man. Good morning to Tortilla Jackson. Tortilla says, doing good. Sacramento Kings drafted Nick Clifford, and he looks good. Kings always seem to screw it up, but we're off to a good start. You know what? I like that Kings team that had now I'm talking back in the day, Chris Webber and Vlade Divac and Mitch Redmond. What was his name?
I have no idea.
Richmond, I think was his name. I believe he wore number 2. That was a lot. It was a real fun team, Mike. And you know what? That was when Shaquille O'Neal called them the Queens. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Because he was out in LA at the time, and they were bumping heads with the Kings. And I do remember Shaq calling them the Queens. But I like that Sacramento team. Corey says, how's it going, guys? Do we have any good Steeler news today? We got some. We got a little bit of Steeler news we're going to get into just shortly. It's going to be a majority of Steeler talk today, so just buckle in, guys. We'll be getting ready to kick off in just a second as far as our Steeler scoop. Tortilla says, we signed a long snapper yesterday, but ain't no way Chris Kuntz is losing his spot. That is right. We did sign somebody. I had his name. Okay. Tucker Addington to a 1-year contract. But Kunze is the guy. Tortilla said, okay, that was Tortilla. Corey says, I'm down to be a Yinzer. I'm in the process of starting my own Spotify podcast as well. That's awesome, man. That is super awesome. Nice. And that is great, man. Keep us posted. I want to make sure I follow you as well. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Also, Mike, another story. Pat McAfee, Wiz Khalifa, and Snoop Dogg donate thousands to Pittsburgh area public schools, which I think is awesome because, for one, Pat McAfee, of course, from Plumboro,
From Plum.
Wiz Khalifa from Alderdice, and Snoop Dogg from Long Beach, California. This one, whatever, we'll take it, but these guys were generous enough to, again, donate thousands of dollars to Pittsburgh area public schools, which is awesome. But the Snoop Dogg one kind of caught me funny. But you know what? He kind of considers himself from Pittsburgh. A lot of times, even in some of the lyrics he says, he's very, very Pittsburghy, if you will.
He's a Yinzer at heart.
He's a Yinzer at heart. Just let me knock out these few things, Mike. And we were going full balls to the wall with Steelers. The Pittsburgh Pirates, they had a chance to win a series yesterday with Paul Skeens on the hill. That, usually sounds like a good thing. But with Paul Skeens on the hill, that means the offense doesn't show up that day. The Pirates lose 4-2. They lose yet another series, Mike, 2-1. Paul Skeens, he didn't have a great day.
No,
with 4 innings, gave up 4 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts on the day. The Pirates, Mike, are 15 games out of 4th place. 15 games out of 4th place.
That's I'm no baseball expert, but I don't think that's good cutting.
Yeah. So there you go. Pirates are sitting at 32-50, 72 games into the season, Mike. They have 90 games left. It's going exactly like we thought it was going to.
I thought they'd be a little bit better than this. I think I maybe had like a few games under 500. I did not think they would be this god awful. It's just beyond my wildest dreams that they would be this bad, and I'm kind of excited for it. I love seeing this baseball team be bad. I don't know why, but it brings me joy because no matter how bad my life is going, I can look at the Pirates and go, "Hey, what? It could be a whole hell of a lot worse."
Well, Mike, they open up a series tomorrow. They're off today. They open up a series tomorrow against the New York Mets. The Mets come to town for a 3-game series over the weekend. Game 1 of 3 is tomorrow at 6:40. Just some outside scoop on the Pirates. The Cubbies, the Chicago Cubs, are interested in Mitch Keller and David Bednar. Mike, just in a couple weeks, it'll be the Midsummer Classic with the All-Star game, and then it's not long after that. You hit the end of July and the trade deadline. I won't be surprised to see more Pirates go down the river as usual. I do know that the Cubs are interested in those 2 guys. I wouldn't be so upset to see David Bednar leave.
No.
Of course, he's a hometown guy, but Mitch Keller, of course, is also on that list as well. So I wouldn't expect these. Again, I expect it to all fall apart here in about a month.
Me too. Like I said, Bednar, I don't have a problem trading Bednar to the Cubs. Divisional rival, whatever. He's a rental. No, Mitch Keller, I don't want to see him traded inside the division. Yes, he's like 1-10, 1-11, but I think he leads the majors or is in the top part of the majors for quality starts. Just the offense around him sucks. If he had an offense, he'd be a whole hell of a lot better record-wise. So I don't want to trade him to the Cubs. I'd trade Bednar to the Cubs. Get him out of here. But Keller, no. I want to trade him to the AL. I don't want to have to face him.
And I don't know what his record is. You said 1-10. I don't know what it is. But if he was on a good team, Mike, he would have a decent record.
Yeah.
He's really that good. It's unbelievable what goes on in this baseball organization. It's truly unbelievable. Mike, not a whole lot of other things.
Yeah, he's 1-10.
Not a lot of whole other things to talk about besides Steelers today. Let's only just knock these last few things out. The Indiana Fever, my girl Caitlin Clark, she's back at it tonight as the Fever host the LA Sparks. The Fever come in with a 7-7 record. Sparks come in with a 4-11 record. That game is at 7:00 tonight.
She is actually out of the game. She has a pulled groin.
Isn't that what guys get?
Yeah,
the women get pulled groins.
They have a groin muscle.
Yeah, but I've never heard of women getting pulled groin. It's always guys.
Well, you know how she pulled that groin.
And also, finally, Mike, it's exciting because, again, everyone, I talk about the Pittsburgh Passion, our women here in Pittsburgh, Mike, the football gals, and they do start their playoff run this Saturday at home against West Allegheny. But that's not the big news, Mike. The big news is the championship game is going to be on ESPN+. So everybody from all around the country and anywhere around the world, if you wanted to watch the WFA championship, which is the women's champion professional football in our Pittsburgh Passion, who's a very good team in that league. Mike, once it does get that far, which I'm hoping we could land. If we get upset, that's the only way I could really see this team not making it. The Passion are that good, and if they do make it, Mike, it will be on ESPN Plus, which is pretty cool for the ladies.
That's awesome. Yeah, hopefully they do make it, and that squad can get represented, and hopefully Pittsburgh can bring home a championship.
Strumming up more interest in the WNBA in this WFA, and I'm all for it. All right, guys, let's get into it. It's time for Pittsburgh Steeler time. Pittsburgh Steeler time. Let me catch up on the board just briefly here. RB, what's up, my brother? He says, I've spent the last 3 days watching more film than I desire. If Roman Wilson stays healthy, he's the type of wide receiver Rodgers always seems to like. Roman Wilson reminds me of Garrett Wilson. Boy, I would like that. If we could get that out of Roman Wilson, we're going to be in good shape.
Yeah, talk about it'll be a steal of a draft pick right there.
Let's see. And then he also says, think the Cubs would be willing to part ways with an old pair of shit-stained box briefs for Bednar. That seems like a lot. Hey, you ain't kidding.
Hey.
Listen, if he wasn't from Mars, if he wasn't from right here in Marsboro up in Butler County, I think he would have been gone a long time ago. I do. I mean, even when he's not playing good, what's his name? Greg Brown. Just sits there and talks him up. He's the best. He's one of the best closers. He's such a success. I mean, every time I turn on, he's blowing saves. What game are you watching? I think Greg Brown is officially delusional. I truly do, Mike.
Oh.
Covering the Pirates for 30 some years, you're delusional.
Oh yeah, and he's a through and through Bucko shill. He knows Bob Nutting signs that paycheck, and whatever Bob Nutting needs, Greg Brown's your guy. He will just glaze, no objectivity from Greg Brown. I've never liked him as an announcer.
And it makes you wonder, I mean, is he dumb?
No, he's a shill.
Is he a shill? Because
he's a shill. He is
how could you have gone on for 3 decades rooting for this team and making people believe that maybe we have a chance? And it's just ridiculous. How much of a shill are you if that's the case? If you've been doing it for 3 decades, I know it's your job, but fuck.
Yeah, it's annoying. Like, yeah, I wish I could sell my soul and be a grifter like he is. My God.
Hey, you could do anything you set your mind to, Mike.
I couldn't. I'd lose my mind.
I want to say good morning to Ralph. Ralph on the board, my man. How you doing today, sir? Ralph says Greg Brown is a pirate butt kisser. You ain't kidding. And his voice anymore. Again, back in the 90s. Listen, in 97, the Pirates had a season where they finished 3 games under 500. Ever since then, all he's done is just bullshitted. Oh, this team ain't gonna do shit. This team never does shit. So for 30 years almost, I could recall personally just kind of being annoyed with this guy. Greg Brown.
I hate him.
Good morning, Vegas. Vegas TJG on the board. Always great seeing Mr. Vegas.
What up?
Let's get into some Steeler talk. There's officially, guys, 301 days. That's right, 301 days till the draft in Pittsburgh. The big yellow, whatever that thing is, down in the city is saying there's 301 days till the draft in Pittsburgh, Mike, which raises the question to me specifically. What does the 2026 draft mean to the Pittsburgh Steelers? Because now we have an interesting situation to where if Aaron Rodgers wasn't here and Mason Rudolph would have been the number 2 guy and Will Howard was just kind of, just kind of looming in the, he's just there. I really didn't think that there would be an opportunity for Will Howard to be the guy because he's kind of behind a guy that's not really an ideal quarterback. He's not really a starter. But Mike, with Aaron Rodgers saying that he's willing to do whatever it takes to help Will Howard out, that's really interesting to me because what direction do the Steelers take beyond this season? I mean, we're all going to have emotions at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a loss in the second round and we're going to be ready just to burn the town down. Maybe we get to the AFC Championship game and we're excited and we're optimistic about next year.
Yeah.
So, again, this is very interesting to me, Mike, because Will Howard kind of falls into a weird position. He truly, truly does.
Yeah.
And, again, for example, let's say a guy was drafted to the Broncos back when Peyton Manning got traded over there for his final 2 years, whatever it was, to make his little runs. It's it's just a bizarre situation. What do you do with him? He's learning. He's learning from one of the best.
Mm-hmm.
But are we going to consider him an option to be that guy? I think one day we'll eventually put him in a position to battle for the spot. But Mike, what do you do come draft time next year? You're looking at that number 1 pick. You have 12 picks in your pocket, give or take. Now, what are you thinking come 301 days from right now when you're on the clock? Pittsburgh Steelers are on the clock. What do you do? Do you tackle the quarterback? Do you let it go a couple rounds? Maybe get a quarterback in the middle of the draft. What do you do? This is truly a bizarre situation, especially for Will Howard.
Like if he does come out like Tortilla and Barley are saying, Lenora Sellers, he's caught my eye too. He's one of the guys I would be looking at.
Where's he out of?
South Carolina Gamecocks. I believe he just turned down $8 million in the transfer portal to stay there. And so this guy that shows, he wants to stay and win and commit to where he is. So he's a guy I started to notice last year too. Like, oh, this cat got some really good potential. Mobile quarterback, good arm, good feel for the game. I just want to see how he progresses again. Someone like, Arch Manning, is he going to live up to the hype? Drew Aller, will he ever live up to the hype that people have for him? I don't think so. Cade Klubnik out of Clemson, another guy to take a look at. So it's like there's guys right there to a couple of the top end guys to take a look at. Will Howard, I think the Steelers view him as a developmental quarterback. If he turns into your starting quarterback, that's the win. That was a 6th round pick.
Well, what kind of timeline are you giving somebody? And again, this is where this unique situation comes into play, because how often do you get behind the guy that's coming in for his one final run, who's never been a part of this organization? Again, let's take a guy drafted maybe by Tampa Bay this season before Tom Brady shows up. Yeah. Does that benefit that guy? Is it not benefit? Does it kind of leave that guy in limbo? And that's kind of what I'm feeling with Will Howard. I just don't know.
For me, this is really beneficial to him. He was not going to be the starter this year anyway. He was going to be maybe the backup at best,
right?
Or number 3. So now this year he gets to sit and learn, which is ideal for someone like him, because you watch his film breakdown and people who know quarterbacks, you can see he has NFL traits. It's just can he maximize those traits, and can the team design the offense around him to limit what he can't do? Now you're working with a Hall of Fame quarterback who has a track record of working with other quarterbacks. Famously, him and Jordan Love worked well together. Now that's a good step for Will Howard right there.
Who was the backup in New York last year?
I have no fucking
exactly.
Clue. It's like some bum. Like literally like a bum quarterback, not a guy.
That's what I'm saying. Is this guy gonna, is he gonna? My concern is he gonna get lost in the shuffle, because again, there's Aaron Rodgers, then there's the draft, and in the middle, again, just kind of floating, is Will Howard.
See, I think he has. For him, I think he has a chance. Whether we draft a rookie in the 1st round, 2nd, 3rd round next year, I think Will Howard, that quarterback, and if he's still on the roster, Mason Rudolph will have the competition to be who's going to be the starting quarterback. And I think with Will Howard being here, learning this system, learning from, Aaron Rodgers, he will have a leg up in that competition. And so I think it will give him an advantage going in next year. Now, unless, we do get a top rookie that is just so far ahead, like, okay, Will Howard's going to be our backup in a piece that could potentially be traded down the line to flip for another asset.
Mike, is this a good problem to have?
Yes. I think it's a good problem to have when you're stockpiling for a position of need, when you don't really have that franchise guy right now. You have your placeholder, and then you have your developmental guy. Now going into next year, okay, we're going to have our developmental guy who hopefully will take a big step, who we see some potential in. And then, okay, if we get one of these blue chip guys, we bring him in, and we're going to have an open competition. Whoever gets it wins. We're not going to care about where you're drafted, which they shouldn't. It should be about who's going to be the better player. And then you run from there. Then you have a nice backup quarterback to go with.
Good problems to have are good problems. However, they do give you opportunities to mess things up. And that's the one thing I'm concerned about, is this good situation. Is it going to turn into a screwy situation because next year in 301 days, or 302 days or 303, whatever it turns out to be, do we make the wrong decision, which is something that's been in question about quarterbacks and other positions, of course, on this Pittsburgh Steelers team as of late. So I just don't want the good problem to turn into a bad problem. And no matter what it is, we will make the wrong decision. It just ends out that way sometime, whether we bring in a guy or whether we don't bring in a guy and then Howard doesn't work out. Let's hope that's not the case. Again, good problem to have, Mike. We'll take a good problem over a bad problem any day.
Yeah. And I hate when people are like, oh, if you have two quarterbacks, you don't have one quarterback. You have two quarterbacks to figure out who is going to be your guy at that point. Then you figure out who's going to be your backup. But, with Will Howard, he does have NFL traits. Like I said, the arm isn't the greatest. But if you can throw with timing and anticipation.
And he's young. The guy can build strength in his arm. I mean, the thing is about when these people always say he came out of drafts and in the combine. Well, he doesn't have a strong. Well, the guy's going into pro training. And now he has guys that are making a lot of money to teach you how to be stronger and work with you. And, so it's always hard to go by that with these young gentlemen, especially a guy that gets to sit out for 2 years, Mike.
Yeah.
He gets to work on all those little things. So the next time you see him, he might look a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a question, Mike.
Yeah.
This has came up. Let me find it right here. Beat writer floats the idea. Now, I've seen this in more than one article, so this is the only reason I'm bringing it up. Otherwise, I would not bring this up. This particular article I have, beat writer floats idea of Steelers targeting Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones, which I think is an absolutely insane idea. But, Mike, there's no possibility of either one of those guys coming here, right?
No. God, no. Whoever that beat writer is, should be drummed out of town. That is the dumbest idea I have ever heard.
Nobody thinks that's a good idea.
No, like Daniel Jones has shown you had to have that team that he had a good year on. Like everyone on that New York team had a franchise year. That offensive line had an outstanding year.
It wasn't a good year.
Saquon Barkley, was finally healthy and had a healthy line around him. He carried that team, and Will Howard was Daniel Jones is a bum. Anthony Richardson is a bum. No, he's an injury prone quitter.
That's what I'm saying. Anthony Richardson is somebody that just continues to be able to prove that he's not good enough.
And he's Jones, someone who should have stayed in college
He should have stayed in college.
Yeah.
And also Daniel Jones, come on, this guy, in my opinion, is a joke. Anybody that still considers this guy a decent quarterback. But Mike, one thing about Daniel Jones is this. If you do bring Daniel Jones here, he's $14 million this season. Aaron Rodgers is $13.6 million this season. Again, the Steelers get a steal. You get a future Hall of Famer. You get a 4-time MVP, and you're still paying this quarterback less than Daniel Jones.
The quarterback room is set for the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers, Mason Rudolph are your 1, 2. Will Howard will be your number 3, and Skylar Thompson, thanks for coming out, buddy, for being a camp arm. We appreciate you. Thank you for your services. Here's your check. Don't let the door hit you in the ass. And that's the room, man.
Now,
any other
mic down just a little bit, because when you get loud, it starts cracking. Turn your mic down just a hair.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. You yell at me when you can't hear me.
Well, it cracks.
I know.
Okay. Let's get back to the board for a few minutes, Mike, because I don't want to get too far behind and the messages are rolling in. I'm going to come all the way back down to these Lenora Sellers messages right here where Tortilla says 301 days until Lenora Sellers is QB1. RB also at that same exact moment.
Right.
He says, I'm not normally a fan of the mobile quarterback or the total upside project, but there is something about Lenora Sellers that keeps catching my eye. He's a very high character kid on top of it. And then also RB follows it up by saying, I didn't see you said that while I was typing Tortilla. Mike, I've heard this name. I'm going to check into him more. A lot of positive talk of him on the board today. I'm going to look into Lenora Sellers, no doubt, today. Tortilla followed that up, and he was like, I was like that was fast ass response. That's right. RB says 6'5", 240. Is that what he is? 6'5", 240, and he's mobile. Wow.
Dude's a freak, and he can play quarterback too. He's not just an athlete back there playing quarterback. He's a quarterback.
Corey says I don't even want to talk about drafting a QB until we see what Will has and what mentoring did for him. And I can't wait. That's what people don't like preseason because they want to get to the games that matter. But you learn a lot in preseason because you're seeing all those guys that you wonder about. Those guys,
Mhm.
your starters get they get a series. They get 3 plays to start out. Generally, I know that Tallman does a little different, and then they get a little bit more in the second week, and then the third week they might rest their starters. So you're getting a lot of looks at these guys that you wonder. You're getting a lot of looks at Roman Wilson. You're getting a lot of looks at Will Howard. You're getting a lot of looks at some of these young guys like Corey Trice, guys that missed a lot of time early on in their career. Fatanu hopefully gets a lot of time in
Jack Sawyer.
in preseason. Jack Sawyer, all these
But
rookies.
I want to see a lot of Will Howard. You know what you're going to get with Aaron. You know where
I think
you're
you are
get
going to
with
see a lot
Mason.
of Will Howard.
But I would like when I say a lot, I want from second quarter, midway through the second quarter on Will Howard.
I bet
Like,
you do. And
that's all I want to see.
in at least 1 or 2 of those games, I bet you that's the case. I bet you it's a Will Howard show.
Yeah, you figure he'll probably play like that the entire second half in games 1 and 2. In game 3, wouldn't surprise me if he plays more or less from the first quarter, for like a first drive or 2 in the first quarter.
Aaron Rodgers ain't playing preseason. Come on, he'll get his snaps in.
I think he'll get a couple in. This get some live action.
Exactly.
Rhythm.
He's getting
like a drive or 2 here and there.
He's getting nothing.
Which I am fine with because I don't want him getting hurt.
So what that means to me, that obviously Mason's going to get his snaps because he's the backup quarterback. But I think that this also leads to a lot of time left for Will Howard to play in those 3 games. So I'm just as excited about them as the regular season sometimes.
And also too, like with the snaps, I understand why they're going to feature Mason Rudolph a decent amount too, is because you want to see like what your other wide receivers and skill players can do with a guy who has a little bit of a track record of knowing how to get the guys the ball. You don't want everyone out there fighting for a roster spot with the rookie quarterback throwing you the ball.
And
kind
also
of screws them over.
And also, Mike, with Aaron Rodgers, a 42-year-old quarterback this upcoming season, you're just one play away from Mason Rudolph being your guy. I mean, come on, we've seen it 2 years ago in New York. It is reality in the NFL. So, Mason is going to get his snaps because, again, he could be the starter in week 1. I mean, we don't want to say that, but it could play out that way.
Yeah, and too, like with Rodgers, I want him to get out there and get hit a couple times or, at least run a little bit in-game action, get the body used to it. So by the time regular season does come around, he's not all stiff and he pops something again.
Vegas says 12 picks next year plus endless picks in the future.
Exactly.
You got to like the way this is looking, Mike. It's it's starting to come together, hopefully, right?
And Omar Khan and Weedle have shown they are not afraid to move up the draft board. They're not afraid to trade second-round picks either, which is encouraging if you want to move up in the draft. They're not afraid.
Barley says, he says, if you aren't going round 1, I also like Aiden Childs from MSU, has run a pro-style offense at Oregon State and now at MSU. Very smart kid, above average traits.
I'll have to check him out.
Yinzer Joe, what's up, my man? Always great seeing Yinzer Joe on the board. P, my man.
B. Morton just snuck in there.
I like it with the DeVito. You know what? They have many of different quarterbacks in New York. Maybe
it was DeVito was the Giants. I look it up. I think it might have been Tyrod Taylor last year.
What's Tyrod Taylor last year?
For the Jets. You asked who the Jets backup quarterback was last year.
Oh.
And he thought
that was only like 20 minutes ago.
Well, we just got to the comment.
No, this is the Giants. Anyway.
I thought we were talking about the Jets with Aaron.
Does DeVito play for the Giants?
Yeah, he plays for
That's
the
who I'm talking about right now.
Yeah.
And they have the rookie quarterback and Russell Wilson and
Jameis.
Winston.
I forgot about Jameis.
So anyway.
I'm sorry. My brain's fried.
Now it was a perfect comment by P, and you left it up like this.
Fair enough.
Apologize to P.
P, I'm sorry. You know I love you.
DeVito, like they do. They have an abundance of quarter. They have an interesting quarterback room, kind of like we had, with just all these different names and personalities. So it's going to be interesting to see what goes on up in New York. RB says my biggest issue is Howard has a iffy arm, and I don't understand how, with the size and athletic profile, it doesn't make sense. Maybe it's a mechanics thing that can be cleaned up. That's what I'm hoping as a kid. You hope if you don't think you can make the guy better, why draft him?
Exactly.
That's kind of the next step in drafting a quarterback is developing him.
Yeah, and the thing that too, like with colleges nowadays, like you're not getting a lot of time to develop in college because it's got to win now. You got to win now. We'll do whatever we can to win now. We'll change the offense to fit what you have instead of, training you up. We'll let the next level figure that out.
Tortilla says, I think for the next 3-4 years, we're going to see Will Howard in the preseason, and we'll have a decent look at who he can be. I think so too. I can't wait. I can't wait to see him in preseason. It's going to be a lot of fun, I think. Yinzer Joe says, Will Howard will be the backup to the rookie starter they draft next year. Look what they did to Mason. Wouldn't that be crazy, Mike, if they basically put a Mason Rudolph again with Will Howard?
If the guy that they draft's better, yeah, I'm okay with it. I want the best guy out there.
Wasn't that the plan, though, was getting a quarterback because the other quarterback was getting old, and they ended up just leaving him on the bench and bringing in Ducks and all these other non-talented quarterbacks. And you see what I'm saying? You wonder if that's going to happen with Will Howard, if he's just going to be the Mason Rudolph of the next generation here.
Hey, man, he'll have a 3-game stretch that everyone rubs their nipples over.
You were the only person that's going to remember about that 3 games. I swear. I forget about that all the time, and then you bring it up.
I like bringing it up because I know it annoys you.
RB says, Rhino will argue Ohio State spends more money on training and staffers than the Steelers. I'm not joking. I believe you. Believe me. I mean, Ohio State is top program, and the Steelers, they get bad grades every year.
Yeah.
In theory, though, the thought was in the right place. Excuse me. Tortilla says, I'd trade a 7th for Aaron Rodgers. Either Joe, I believe some of those beat writers are smoking some good stuff and decide to write some wild shit. I believe you're right.
And
too.
Why aren't they sharing it?
Yeah. RB, Aaron Rodgers is a halfback or a wing player. He's not a quarterback.
Anthony Richardson.
I was going to say that didn't sound right.
I was going to let you go along with that. I was like,
well,
I can't leave you hanging out.
Well, I'm looking at my face. I'm looking at it in the one monitor, and I looked confused when I read that. I thought. I thought maybe, that was just your natural. I thought maybe RB got a hold of some of that, whatever them beat writers had. Vegas, that writer is the captain of his own row on the short bus. Tortilla Sellers Washington combo will save Tomlin's job. I got a couple questions, and we're going to talk about Tomlin here shortly as well. Corey says we may get to see Howard against twos because Aaron doesn't play preseason. Yeah, I think Aaron's just going to get minimum amount of snaps. It's Aaron. It's a special treatment year, believe me. Tortilla. Yeah, I don't see Aaron playing any more than a drive or two just to get adjusted. Vegas says, who loves you, baby? Kojak. And then finally, Tortilla says, well, at least this time we'll have Rudolph on the roster still, and we could jump ship to go to Howard if he's the best QB. It's going to be interesting, guys. It's an interesting situation for Will Howard, no two ways about it. And it all starts with the preseason here in August, guys. So we'll be getting a better look. I can't wait. I can't wait to see these young kids get out there, play. Again, I can't wait to see Roman Wilson finally get out there. Some of these other names, Mike. One real quick question about these names of people we can't wait to see. Mike, which one of these two, and on the board, which one of these two names is on the verge of having a breakout season more than the other? On the offensive side of the ball, Darnell Washington, and on the defensive side of the ball, Corey Trice. I think both of these guys have opportunity to really take a jump this season, Mike. I think if, with the quarterback situation we have and the offensive style we're going to be involved with, instead of sputtering our way through a season trying to make things happen, I think that opens things up for guys like Darnell Washington. They're going to want to use more players. They're want to get more targets, especially in the red zone. But on the defensive side of the ball, you've seen Corey Trice. He had a nice interception last year. He was doing some things. He was filling in to where you wanted to see him fill in. Which one of these two guys, Mike, ends up having a bigger breakout season than the other? Mount Washington or Corey Trice? And on the board as well, if you guys have any opinion.
I'm going to go with Mount Washington. Just the way I think Aaron Rodgers will be able to utilize the tight end more than the quarterbacks in the past did, and than they did last year. I think Washington can take that step with a competent quarterback. And Darnell Washington, what's his best availability, Ryan? Availability. Yeah. Corey Trice, that's his biggest liability, is he's always injured. Happened all through college. It's happening through the pros right now. But if he can stay healthy, Trice will probably have a bigger breakout season. But right now, just all the factors there in the past 2 years watching these guys, it's going to be Mount Washington, just because he can stay on the field.
And that's what Tortilla is saying as well. Tortilla says Washington, just because we have a real quarterback. I'm sorry. Now Trice is competing for his job and also injury prone. That's the one thing that I'm very sad. I'm sad that he has these injury issues because I like Corey Trice.
Yeah.
I like his size. I know that he dropped in the draft because of injury issues. That is definitely something that you don't want to hear. And as time goes on, as you see that continue to play out, it's kind of discouraging. And you say to yourself, what's the use of even having this guy if we're just going to constantly sit around and say, well, he can, but he's probably going to be injured. I know you got to kind of wait till it plays out, but it's been the case with a lot of these young cats so far, Mike. They come in, they say they have injury problems, and they have injury problems. At some point, you have to believe them. And at some point, I would rather have somebody who's not injury prone. But again, Mike, I'm looking forward to. I think it's going to be in two different ways. I think, of course, Darnell Washington is going to be used a lot more because of the quarterback, because of the offense, because you're going to want to be able to get more big bodies on red zone drives, goal line situations. I think Darnell Washington really will, he'll really excel in that situation. But on defense, if you do start to bring in all this secondary help, that helps out too. And I would love to see Corey Trice have a bigger breakout season between the two. But like most of the people were saying on the board and with Mike, I do think that it's going to be Darnell Washington just because of the addition of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, drafting someone like Corey Trice who had injury problems, I don't mind that. He was like, 6th, 7th round pick? That's when those guys get picked. You want to see, was it just a college thing, a conditioning thing? If you hit on them, great. If not, okay, it's 6th, 7th round pick. You weren't expecting much out of him. So I have no problem with Steelers drafting Corey Trice, but if he does remain healthy this year, now you're going to have him, Porter, Slay. I like that trio for your outside corners. I think that'd be a nice group right there. But yeah, Mount Washington, I'm looking for him to have a big year, especially because of the way Rodgers is talking about him.
Now we're talking about a big breakout season. Let's talk about a bounce back season. Patrick Queen, not quite happy with his performance last year after being traded over from coming over from Baltimore. Didn't quite have the season that he wanted to have. And we as fans, we've seen that as well. We would have liked to seen a little bit more from Patrick Queen. Mike, does he make that bounce back? Does he become that linebacker that we thought that we were getting from Baltimore? Or did we basically see what Patrick Queen is last year?
I think he's going to have a bounce back year. Someone like that who recognizes like, hey, I got to play better. That shows me that he cares about his craft and is going to work on his craft to make himself better and not to let the team down. And I think this year, I think they're going to take the green dot away from him because he doesn't want that responsibility. He wants to just be the guy that goes out there, makes that play, doesn't want that added pressure. I respect him saying like, it messes with me. I don't want to be responsible for that. He's like, I just want to find my key and go in there and do it. Let someone else be the quarterback of that defense. I think we're going to see a better Patrick Queen. Usually when guys say that, oh God, it was bad and I got to do better, and historically when they do play well, he's going to have a bounce back year. I'm not worried about him this year. Now, if he came in and said, oh, I had a good year, I would be worried. If he came in acting like nothing happened, no. He's a countering he's acknowledging that he was not up to his own personal standards and like the standards that the Steelers set for him to like, hey, we want you to be a big play guy, and you really weren't.
Guys, let's I'm gonna jump back on the board here. Mike Tortilla says, well, at least this time we'll have Rudolph on the roster. Okay, I think we got that one. I'm gonna start with the RB. Tomlin's biggest issue is he's a motivational guy, politician, a con man that works only when you trust your staff and worry about doing just that stuff. He needs hands-off personnel and game planning. I agree to an extent, absolutely. I think there's certainly things that Mike Tomlin could certainly do better. But like you said, he'll come out every game and he'll smooth it over with his talk. I get what you're saying, which I'm going to get into him just briefly here. Actually, I got a few things I do want to talk about Coach Tomlin. So let me jump up to Tortilla. I think we got him already. Let's jump up to RB on his next one. Mercedes Lewis didn't have numbers, but with Rodgers, he drew a ton of red zone targets that led to pass interference. I expect that. Root for Washington.
And the way he's been talking, or way Aaron Rodgers was saying, he reminds him of Mercedes Lewis, leads me to believe that he'll be looking for Big Mount Washington in the red zone.
Vegas says can't help the club in the tub. Tortilla says RB. 18 players say he's a technical coach too, and we get on their ass every week. I think his just old school plays the game like it's 2010. And again, I am going to get into him shortly. I do have a few things I want to say about Coach T this morning. Yinzer Joe says Rodgers has already been contemplating Washington size and versatility. I feel like Rodgers plans to getting and if anything, I think that Aaron Rodgers certainly benefits the tight ends more than probably anybody on this team. I really do. This will be a year that I think tight ends have a big season. Mike, I look for Pat Freiermuth to get back to having those big seasons that you've seen him have early on when he first got here. I think that things kind of change. Things are going to change definitely this year when you look at our offense, and that benefits tight ends. No two ways about that. Barley said he's not an X and O guy. I mean, he was a Tampa 2 guy. You literally call 3-4 plays all season, and on top of that, this team is always undisciplined with penalties and never. I agree. I said that. I've said that since day one, Mike. I know you don't agree, but I've been saying that since day one with Mike Tomlin. I just have, and everyone says it was because because he was a black guy. I think get the hell out of here. I just don't think his coaching is great. I think his lack of success in the playoffs shows that. Roger says shit. I'm sorry. Tortilla says shit. Rodgers doesn't have a choice. We have 9 tight ends. You're eventually gonna have to throw to a tight end with all the guys that we have. You're gonna run out of options. Vegas says Washington 50+ catches. Oh, that'd be great. If Darnell Washington gets 50+, that would be.
Oh damn! Then what are you getting? Then
maybe he passes Muth. Maybe he has a better season than Muth. He's bigger.
You just paid Muth $12 million. So, I figure like you figure.
Hey, if somebody's
have
good,
60, he has 50.
If somebody's good, you know, if he
don't
if he
have a true number
you.
2, yeah. So you figure, that the math is mathing there.
Let's see. We only have 3 tight ends. Mark Malone, what's up, brother? Nice seeing you on the board. Mark Malone, unless you count Connor Hayward.
Man, he's more of a fullback, H-back type.
He's hanging by a thread, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I mean, what is this guy bringing to this football team?
Whole lot of nothing.
RB can't blame Queen when you have a defensive end playing nose tackle in 2-3 man fronts 90% of the plays. Queen is a run and chase guy who needs to be kept clean. Can't be fighting off 2 blockers every play. It's a good point. Very good point. Tortilla, I'm just saying you don't see a coach in the NFL who don't know X's and O's. Tomlin just hasn't adjusted to the game today, and most players we've had issues with when they leave, other teams have issues too. Vegas, didn't they just sign Galbraith too? Mike, did they sign?
Yeah. The tight end Galbraith. Yeah.
Another one. What is their hang up with tight ends, Mike? I don't get it.
We got 3 of them.
Let's just act like that was a dumb thing that you said and talk about the 10 tight ends that we've been dealing with over the past season. Let's talk about the guy that's injured out all season. Let's talk about Galbraith. Let's talk about we have an overabundance, and we wanted the guy Jonnu from Miami. What is the hang up, Mike, on the tight ends?
Because we have Pat Freiermuth, Darnell Washington.
Well, hold on. Pat Freiermuth is your starter,
who
is the best tight end to this point in his career for a Steeler. You have a 6'7" guy who certainly looks a lot more athletic than he did in his first season. And go ahead. We want
then you have Connor Hayward.
Bring in Jonnu Smith, who was an All-Pro. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Then you got Connor Hayward, who's more or less a fullback, who'll be gone. JJ Galbraith, who is he's going to be a practice squad body who's probably going to end up maybe on the practice squad after camp. Okay, so you still only have Freiermuth and Darnell Washington, and before he got hurt, you had Farnham. There was your 3 guys going into camp. If you bring in Jonnu Smith, and if he performed better than
and Connor and Galbraith,
and this is the preseason. You have 90 guys on a preseason roster, of course.
But we need. Listen, why aren't we abundantly building our wide receiver too that we need? Why aren't we abundantly building our cornerback that we need?
We have 11 wide receivers on the roster.
We obviously don't, and none of them are number 2, and we obviously don't need any more tight ends. Obviously.
Hey, we have 11 wide receivers. One of those guys will be a number 2.
And none of them are a number 2. Why don't they go out and Mike, again, these are the decisions the Steelers are making. Why we're not getting as good as other teams are. The teams that are getting better every year are doing. They're making these kind of moves, and we're worried about our 7-string tight end. All we need is a number 2 wide receiver. Bring in somebody that
Because
has
they
talent.
grow on trees. They grow on trees.
Mike, there's got other people. Listen, the Ravens are grabbing guys up off the shelves as they become available. The everybody else who's getting better is grabbing guys up, and we are still worried about our 11th and 12th tight end. I think it's crazy. Again, we'll have this conversation again later in the year when we need a wide receiver too, and we don't need a tight end. Because again, there's no matter anything that you say, it's not going to be able to. We're not going to be able to have the conversation until it happens. Again, we have a lot of tight ends. Let's see how that goes into the season compared to how many wide receivers of the caliber that we need that we have on the team. I'm just saying they're out there. They are out there. Mike, and you can also trade for people. There's a lot of options. It isn't like there's no options out there.
Yeah, and it's not like they still have a lot of time too. So
we're in July, so I mean the time is coming to a close here, Mike. At the end of June, let's get back on the board though. A couple comments about Galbraith. I'm going to go right up here to Tortilla. Tortilla says, you never heard of a player or coach who played with Tomlin say anything bad about Tomlin. It's always from the outside. I think he takes more shit than he should, but I still agree it may be time. Vegas says 3 a game equals 51. That doesn't seem too crazy.
Yeah, like for the catcher for Darnell. Yeah. Like me and math in my head. No, that's not a pretty.
Now 51's not a lot of catches.
No, you figure out 3 a game, and you figure
for somebody that size. I hope he gets 50 catches a game. All right, season. I'm sorry, 50 catches a game. Whoa,
I was ready to jump on you on that one.
Corey Beaver says, "You're just waiting now.
You're
laying in wait because I jumped on you. So you're waiting. You're waiting to find that spot.
You know how it goes.
Good luck." Corey says our 2 tight end sets with Muth playing a slot could be dangerous. Mount Washington blocking or breaking off in the flat and Muth up the seam while defense protects the run. Can't wait. Again, if ran well, we got. I would love to have those 2 tight ends, Washington and Muth. I don't. Again, we'll get into the tight end abundance as camp goes on because I'm sure we'll bring in a couple more in the meantime.
I hope we sign them all.
Johnny Smith is in a tight end. They say he is. He lines up as a power slot 80% of the time. RB says this. Mark Malone, we play a lot of 2 tight end sets. Tortilla and Connor at fullback will average 104 yards a game with 4 tight ends on the field every play. Again, you bring in a lot of tight ends when you have a strong running game and when you plan on running a lot. And I don't know, is that the case? Is that why we brought Aaron Rodgers in to run the ball a lot? Yinzer Joe, my hanging on a thread players are Patterson, Hayward, Loudermilk, and Trice.
Yep.
I could do without Loudermilk. Yep. I'd like to see Trice play healthy for a whole season. Patterson, at this point, as we said yesterday, Mike, I'm here or there. I'm here or there with Patterson. I think that, he's a solid player. If you want to put him in, maybe have him return a kick now and then, maybe have him run a ball on a 3rd and 2, something like this. Besides for that, I don't see his value at this point on a team. I don't disagree that he's been a great player throughout his career. And Hayward, are we talking about Connor?
Yeah, I hope they're talking about Connor
because I could do without Connor like two years ago. Believe me. Mark Malone says, "Yeah, we have a ton of wide receivers." But look at last year. We had Van Jefferson, guys. Why didn't we had this room full of wide receivers? They really came along with Mike Williams and Van Jefferson. So, I mean, this is what your wide receiver room is filled with. If you're happy with the production of Van Jefferson and Mike Williams last year, I think we need a number 2. We need a number 2. I would like to have a number 2 just for the sake of getting the best out of your team. 3 tight ends, Mark Malone says. Tortilla, hey, maybe we're planning on playing the tight ends at running back since we always change players' positions. Like the old Madden games. I used to back in the day when Madden was real early. You didn't know who was lining up where.
Well, we're gonna tush push with Darnell Washington.
Yeah.
Up and down the field, baby.
Let's see, Tortilla. Maybe we're planning on playing that. Okay, we got that. RB, we're building a system to fit. We run more 3 tight ends than 3 wide receivers. Vegas, 50 a game would be awesome. Yeah, on those Darnell catches. That'd be really awesome. Richard, what is up, my man? Richard says it comes down to the health of the receiver core of the Steelers, but I agree they should be looking for another 1 or 2. And this is my reason, Mike, and I'm not doing it to be argumentative. I'm saying this. Let's say DK Metcalf gets hit on the sideline in week 1 and blows his knee and is out all season. And they say, we're watching the game and you're excited. And you got your towel and you got your beer. And they say, Darnell Washington, I'm sorry. DK Metcalf is out for the season. having a legit number 2 starts to sound like a really smart idea at that point.
Yeah.
Again, you're always one play away in the NFL. You know?
Oh yeah, obviously, yeah. I get what you're saying. I just like arguing with you.
I know you do.
It's been a while. It's been a
It
while.
really has.
It's
And we're
been
getting
a
close
while.
to vacation. I thought
We're
you would,
getting chippy.
let's
Tomorrow,
see.
tomorrow I'm going to be all happy and shit, giggles and rainbows and butterflies.
No,
and
you better not be giggling.
Oh,
Mark
all
Malone says
episode,
I'd
baby.
bring in DJ Shark,
The only-
obviously on the cheap.
Yeah, like with Chark, like he has wide receiver 2 productions. It's just he hasn't played a full season in the NFL ever. You know,
Like
11 games, 15, 13, 4, 11, 15, 7. Like, that's my only issue with him.
Like
But he
I
fits
read a
in
name
with-
this morning, Kendrick Bourne. Kendrick Bourne had a really has been having pretty decent seasons up in New England. They were saying that he's an option, maybe somebody that we should look at. I don't know. Again, I'm
If
looking for
he's-
somebody a little higher caliber. To be honest, I want my
Yeah,
number 2 to be a number 2.
Yeah, I've heard him too. I just don't know if they're going to give him up. If they're building towards the future, he's one of their better receivers. They would be stupid to trade him.
You're right. Yeah. RB says Smith's system is designed to show run 85% of the time, and every play has the same motions. Hard to decipher run and pass till it's too late. And Aaron Rodgers hates the motion. So that's going to be interesting as well. He hates motion. I just read this. Like, he's always hated motion. So we'll see how that plays into it as well. Vegas Patterson's wisdom, like Aaron, may be the reason he's still on the team. Quite possibly. And Tortilla said I'd bring in Bills wide receiver DB combo, Cooper and Douglas. I like Cooper. I like the idea of Cooper. Yeah. I mean, again, he's that tier of player.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Because if DK goes down and then I have to look at Amari Cooper's my number 1, I'm okay with that. Yeah. Now, if DK goes down and I have to sit here and say, okay, well, who's going to be our wide receiver set? Is it going to be Calvin Austin? Number?
Yeah.
Is Roman Wilson? I want to avoid, again, let's avoid those things at this point that are maybes. Let's try to, again, this is an all-in kind of season, Mike. I didn't think it was going to be. But if it's all in, let's go all in. Don't go half-ass on an all-in. Shark is 6'3", 198 pounds, and has played slot predominantly outside. He's a deep threat guy. I'd like to move.
I like the years, like when he was down in Jacksonville. He had some really good years down there. I always liked it, but my thing with him was like the availability. You know, that's my big thing. And of course, guys that are available now, that's what you're going to have. There's a reason they're still available.
Let's see, Tortilla. Arthur never really used wide receiver 2. Well, we never really had one in his defense. In our defense, but I don't know. Did he? I'm trying to think. Atlanta was never any good, so you can't go by those seasons in Atlanta.
Atlanta, you really had like Drake London, but those 2
in
years
Tennessee,
in Tennessee,
you had Derrick Henry, and it was a different offense.
Derrick Henry, AJ, more or less, it was Derrick Henry, AJ Brown, Jonnu Smith were their 3 weapons. There was another receiver in there that did some numbers, but yeah.
Well, if those are my 3, I'm looking at things a little bit differently as well, though, Mike. Yeah. If any one of our running backs could have a Derrick Henry season, I think you got to start looking at things considerably different. Sorry. Let's see. Let's move up right to here. Corey says we constantly have coordinators that run old school, run first offenses in a pass first league. Defenses are too fast now to run a lot of power run. Ravens are outliers because of Lamar. Yeah, he sure does. He opens it up, man.
Yeah. But like the counter to that is like defenses want to get faster, so they're going to be smaller. And if you can pound them and wear them down, you can just bowl them over. But your offense has to be able to throw the ball effectively too if you want to be a run-heavy team. Which, you know, the last 2 years we have not been able to throw the ball effectively at all.
Let's see. RB says not motion as wide receiver motion, as in line motions. Every play flows the same. Tortilla says Steelers still do the things that they did in the 70s, and they will continue. Yinzer Joseph Shark is 28. Cooper is 31. Might get more out of Shark. And the thing is, it just depends on what you're. I mean, these guys long term. I mean, you know, some of these names I know that are only going to be here for a season or 2. So, like Aaron, you know, this is an all in. You kind of got to go all in. If you're going to get some guys that are going to be 1 year guys, that is what it is. That's where I think somebody like Amari Cooper would be. I would lean toward Cooper, but at the end of the day, I'd certainly look at all the options as well. Corey had 2 years, had 2 good years. RB says Mark Malone, we're not running power anymore. Vegas, bring AB back. What could go wrong at this point, right, guys? Let's bring AB back. We're going all in. If you could get him back in the States, and I do have a couple more things on AB we're going to talk about here shortly. Tortilla says, RB says, Corey Davis. Tortilla says, Cooper's better than Shark. Come on now. I feel like he would fit better next to DK. And I mean, could you imagine an Amari Cooper and DK Metcalf? I mean, and you got a defensive game plan for that,
right?
31 or not, our quarterback is 42. You know,
Right?
So I'm not worried about Amari's age at this point because we're all in on a AARP quarterback. Mark Malone outside zone. Okay, Mark Malone. Yeah, Cooper's better, no doubt. Tortilla AB is playing with handcuffs on. That's like Joey Porter Jr. right most of the time anyway. He plays.
Right?
Yinzer Joe, he'd probably still catch the ball too. Yeah, he probably would, man. And he'd still be a better than Deontay. Guys, I do. Let me get into let me get into a couple of these misfit wide receivers. I do have a couple things about both of these guys that I am going to talk about briefly today. Do I want to get in? Let me get in AB. We'll talk about AB first, and then we will get into Deontay in just a moment. AB reportedly broke despite earning over $100 million in his career. Antonio Brown filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. He claimed he has assets of $50,000 or less and reportedly owes nearly $3 million to creditors. Wow. If you ever wanted to write a book, Dummies, one of them old dummy books, Mike?
Yeah.
Dummy's version of To Lose Everything. I mean, come on, $100 million is what he made.
How do you blow through $100 million?
And he's only been out of the league for a few seasons. Mike, it isn't like he's 30 years out of the league.
Mm-hmm.
He's only been out of, you know.
I don't know if you ever caught that, like ESPN 30 for 30 about the athletes from all sports going broke. And what they do is they all spend like that money's never going to stop coming in. Absolutely. That's the problem. A lot of them don't understand, like, hey, the money's not going to keep coming in. It's going to stop at some point. That's why, like, some of these guys, like, you'll read stories like, yeah, you know, like I'm just spending my signing bonus or my endorsements, my game checks, everything is just going into the bank account. I just read about one of this running back, I think was for the Saints. He's like, yeah, my mom and I, we grew up poor. We never needed a lot of stuff, so we just lived modestly. You know, he has like $50 million sitting in the bank. Like, if you can do that, hell yeah. Like, a lot of these guys are just blowing their money, man.
Cooper's locker room. I know, and that's why I kind of emphasize the all-in season, because if we bring Cooper in for a season, we could hopefully squeeze more talent than issues out of him.
Yeah,
and then after next year, let him fly, and we won't have that cancer in the locker room to worry about long term. That's just kind of where I'm at. Again, I like Cooper. Who's the other guy, Mike? The other receiver that we were looking at? He's he's with the Raiders now, or
Hopkins?
No. The guy that was pushing over a cameraman.
Fuck yeah. What's his name?
Right.
Devontae Adams.
He's a Devontae Adams to me. Amari Cooper and Devontae Adams are kind of in that same boat. Excuse me. But at this point, Mike, again, this is an all-in season for me. And I would take either one of those two guys. And then at the end of the year, know that's out and hope, again, that you get more production than issues out of them. That's just kind of where I'm at with those kind of receivers. And again, I would certainly take one of those guys for a season. Yeah. Vegas says Tom has given old people hope.
Yeah, he did.
John, brother, what's up, my man? He says money can't fix stupid. That's true. Boy, do you see it, Mike? I think Mike said that in his when he was explaining about athletes. It's just these guys aren't learning the right things in college. Maybe they all get college educations, but they all manage to be broke.
I'm not gonna lie. I would probably blow through a shit ton of money.
Well, nobody takes you as a smart guy, so I mean,
no, fuck no, God no.
Look at Mike Tyson. That's what Mark Malone says. Remember Mike Tyson blowing through $300 million in the 80s and 90s. He had the Tigers and white Tigers, and Mike. He just didn't have Tigers. He had white Tigers.
Yeah,
that's when you know you're blowing your money. I mean, come on. Who was a Tiger for one?
Exactly. He had all those fucking pigeons, man.
Yeah. AB going to start an OnlyFans from jail. Corey, when you hang out with musical talent, they be testing your bank account. You buy a bottle, I buy you a bottle. Vegas or blow 100 million gambling like Antoine Walker. They don't, and that's the thing. They don't go to. If what's going on? Maybe this is a problem, guys. Maybe this is something that we need to work on in universities, teaching these guys not to go broke after they make 100 million. And then also to another menace, a former Pittsburgh Steeler wide receiver. This week talked about Deontay Johnson yesterday. It came out that he said that his body, he didn't want to put out bad film. That's why he didn't go into the game with the Ravens last year on a 41-degree day when he said his body was freezing and he didn't want to put out bad tape. This was from the mouth of Deontay Johnson, guys. I wasn't getting into no run plays, no passing plays, or nothing. It was cold, end of the third, going into the fourth. They were like, hey, we need you. I was like, nah, I don't think it's a good idea for me. Like, my legs are already ice cold, and I don't want to go out there and put bad stuff on film. It's not like I didn't want to go into the game, but leading to this point, I had been through so much. I told that I'm not finna go in, so I just sat on the bench, and that's when they suspended me. Oh, poor Deontay Johnson.
Get up and walk around during the game to stay loose and limber and be
Poor,
ready.
poor pussy of a person. You made I paid you millions. I don't know how much money he has, but come on, he's not making McDonald's money. Oh, come on. What a retarded thing. I almost wish I didn't read this.
Oh,
This
Deontay.
pisses me off to no end. I mean, just some of the things. Let's do it one more time. I wasn't getting into run plays, no passing plays, or nothing. It was cold. End of the third, going into the fourth. They were like, hey, we need you. I was like, nah, I don't think it's a good idea for me. Like, my legs are already ice cold, and I don't want to go out there and put bad stuff on film. It's not like I didn't want to go into the game, but leading to this point, I had been through so much. I told them that I'm not finna go in, so I just sat on the bench, and that's when they suspended me. I love this. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think this is the perfect way for Deontay Johnson's career to eventually crash and burn.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, it's just a professional football. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed that somebody at this level, that got to this level, has that mentality. It's mind blowing.
Yeah, like, yeah, you're okay. You haven't been called to play in the game, but you stay ready for when your number is called. They got the bike on the side.
But Mikey's been through so much.
Been through so much.
He's got to play some of his career in Houston, where it's nice and warm. He's got to do.
Yeah,
come on.
So much. Come on, Deontay.
This guy is a freaking retard.
Oh.
Corey says, how many taggers did the Titan have? Melissa says, yeah, they'll fix it. Tortilla. Who would have thought AB would be the ultimate cracker at the end of the day?
Right?
Yeah. Yinzer Joe, how many older players can you add to a team and stay healthy? I know. Believe me, I know. That's an argument as well. I mean, and I always say that with Rodgers being 12 years older than, and this season will be 42, which will be 12 years over 30. 30 is old in this league. But again, at the end of the day, if it's an all-in, what the hell, right? I don't know. I'd say at this point, add as much as you can, because you're only going to get this Hall of Fame quarterback 1 year. Let's try to do something again. Maybe we could luck out, like we were saying yesterday, Mike, and this could be one of those right off into the sunset years for Aaron Rodgers. Let's give him that opportunity, because if the NFL wants to let that happen, I'm all for it. I want a Super Bowl. I want 7. And on the other hand, maybe the Vegas and games turning out weird ways. And again, every game comes down to the final drive of the game in the NFL anymore, it seems. Maybe that plays to our advantage. So again, I'd say let's bring in the talent that we can, try to make it happen. If not, we're back to next year. We got the draft coming. We got other ideas, as we talked earlier, about quarterback situations, Mike. We're going to be losing a handful of these guys that's on this team. So let's go all in. Why not? We were kind of expecting it to be an average season, Mike, to a less. Yeah. Let's go all in. Why not? It's here. It's the season. Let's try to win a Super Bowl.
Exactly. Go all in. Like I said yesterday, man, worst case scenario. Oh no, we finished like 5-12 when we're picking in the top 5. That's kind of where we wanted to be anyway, to get a quarterback.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Best case scenario, we go on a little bit of a run. Awesome. We still have a lot of assets and resources to move up into the draft to get our guy. This is the year. Screw it. Go all in. Go for a last hurrah with Aaron Rodgers, Watt, Cam. Do it.
Vegas says he had at least 3. I know for sure they were on TV. He had the mansion there. Also, Tortilla DJ saying that is putting bad stuff on film and not like has put anything good on film since Carolina. Even in Pittsburgh, his tape wasn't good enough not to play in the same name of making more money. You know what? The guy went a whole calendar year without without scoring a touchdown. He was a number 1 receiver. Don't come back on nobody saying you had a hard time, dude. You fucked it up here. Then you went to Carolina, where it was nice. You could have enjoyed yourself a little bit. Then you ended out in Texas. I mean, Baltimore. I'm sure that was. I'm sure that's terrible for anybody. But
Yeah.
I mean, come on. The guy didn't. He's the only one that did him dirty. He's the only one that did anything that. Nobody screwed Deontay. Deontay screwed Deontay.
Brett screwed Brett. You just
That's
channeled
right.
Vince McMahon there.
I channeled my inner Vince. My couple more things here. Let's see. I do want to talk about Mike Tomlin for a couple minutes before we do move on. Mike Tomlin, he is listed in the top 5 coaches going into this season. Mike, Andy Reid, Peyton, McVay, Harbaugh, and then Tomlin. The guy has 0 playoff success in well over a decade. Is he the 5th best? And everyone is always gonna. And the only reason anybody's gonna argue this ever is because the Pittsburgh Steelers never had a losing season while he was here, which drives me insane. Because come on, there are seasons that should have been losing seasons. There are seasons that were bad, and he's the fifth best according to this list. Mike, the 5th best coach heading into the season. I say if you're talking about putting a winning season together, I put my money on Mike Tomlin right now. If you're saying these are the 5 best coaches to put a winning season in regular season, I would take him in a heartbeat. But he has zero playoff success. Mike, we haven't won a playoff game in who knows how long. We haven't been involved in any serious playoff runs since Aaron Rodgers, since we played these guys in the Super Bowl. Mike Tomlin, to me, is turning into a hall of pretty good, as you put it, Mike. At the end of his career, he's done a lot of pretty good stuff. He excelled at pretty good stuff. But the stuff that really matters is the stuff that we haven't seen in a long time out of this guy. So which is the guy? The guy that got early success in a couple seasons, or the guy that's been coaching the last 12 years that's had little to no success in the playoffs? Mike, is he the 5th best coach heading into this season?
I don't know.
Who's the guy in Buffalo?
Like people, Buffalo, they've fallen short.
But they're always a team that's a contender. I always look at this team as one of the top 4 teams where you'd say these 4 teams are probably going to be one of the teams in the Super Bowl. Pittsburgh is nowhere clearly close to any of those 4 teams. Kansas City, Buffalo, Philadelphia, and I forget Baltimore. Say Baltimore.
Yeah, and you want to throw Harbaugh in there. He's been, his playoff success since the Super Bowl is,
well, he went in 2012 and won.
But since then, 2014, 1-1, 2018, 0-1, 2019, 0-1.
And listen,
2021,
this is a really this argument, Mike. This is irrelevant because nobody. I don't care about a Harbaugh. I'm talking about Mike Tomlin. Okay, yeah, we know the
you
top
were
4
comparing
people
head
ahead of him.
coaches.
I'm not comparing. I don't want a comparison. I want to know, is Mike Tomlin the 5th best head coach going into this season?
If John Harbaugh is up there and McVay with their similar playoff success, yeah.
So the guy that's winning Super Bowls in Philly, no. So the guys that's getting to the AFC Championship, no. But Mike Tomlin, who can't win a playoff game, is in the top 5. I don't buy it.
Yeah, if Harbaugh and McVay are up there, why wouldn't Tomlin be up there? They're like
because he doesn't. He hasn't. Mike, when was the last time Mike Tomlin Harbaugh won a playoff game last year?
Yeah,
they won a playoff game last year. Andy Reid won a Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, Peyton, I didn't say anything about.
I would debate. Peyton, I mean, what's he doing in the top 5? Peyton, Denver's coach? No way.
No, God, no.
That's
no, I would have.
If you're comparing, I compare to him.
I would have Andy Reid, Sirianni, maybe Dan Campbell, just the turnaround. But again,
Absolutely.
the playoff success, but getting embarrassed in the playoffs,
Give
being
him
one
more
of the
time.
best teams.
Again, our guys had 12 seasons to be
He
bad
was
and not
still
win any
embarrassed in
games.
the playoffs. It was a total team collapse.
To get a team like that, Detroit Lions, to the playoffs and lose is not a bad thing.
Yeah, but you're coming
The
in that
Pittsburgh
high. You didn't
Steelers,
live up to
you can't get a
expectations.
playoff win in over 10 years. That's something you
I'm
have to
just
consider
saying
as
he
well.
came with high
I'm not worried about these other
expectations and
coaches, Mike.
failed.
I just want to know what Mike Tomlin.
Asking if he's top 5, then you have to look at.
Well, you're bringing up guys that aren't even in the top 5. So you're talking about the 26. I don't care about them at all.
Well, they all matter for this ranking.
No, does Mike Tomlin put him in the top 5 or no?
Like if those,
it wasn't really supposed to go this long. This was kind of a Phil question. Is he belong in the top 5? You're saying he's the top.
If you're putting Harbaugh and McVay in there,
I don't. Okay. We're going to move on a little bit.
It in context.
Well,
I'm sorry it doesn't fit your narrative.
I didn't want to continue. If we were
sorry, it doesn't fit your narrative.
A hard time continue.
Yeah, it doesn't fit your narrative, but
I have no narrative. Mike, I have no narrative. What's my narrative? The fact
that
this guy he hasn't won a playoff game in 10 years, that's my narrative. Yes.
Yeah, and that he doesn't belong, but I'm putting other guys up there that have
yes, I agree. I think the guy
yeah.
that's been to the Super Bowl 2 times in the last 3 years,
I didn't say anything about him. I didn't say anything about them.
Well, why wouldn't you? Because he belongs in the top 5.
Yes, because
you're talking about guys that don't even belong in here. So
yeah, we were asking if Tomlin belongs in.
Really
we have those guys in there. I'm putting there. You're missing the point.
I'm not missing the point. I have my point, and you missed it entirely. And the fact that you think that I'm missing the point just shows me how much that you're actually missing the point. So I'm going to move on because we have to move on, Mike. People, come on, that was stupid. Let's jump into some messages here, Mike. I'm going to go right here to where, right here, Mark Malone. Good Lord, guys, we're going to go toe to toe with Buffalo and can't. No, that's what I'm saying. We don't have the coaching to go toe to toe with these teams. It's not play. We'd have players out the ass over the past 12 years. We have different guys. We have different this, different that. The only thing consistent is this coach cannot win a playoff game anymore. Mark Malone says, I think we beat both. Tortilla says, screw 100 guys versus one gorilla. All you need is a few Steeler wide receivers in that gorilla's coast. Let's see right here. RB says, anybody can go an entire – my board moved. There it is. And anyone can go an entire year without a touchdown with Kenny Pickett throwing up or shooting practice with again, I mean, yes, it's funny in a sense, but you know what? Kenny Pickett was throwing touchdowns to other guys that scored, and Deontay's your number one. That's all I'm saying. He didn't score a touchdown all season. When was the last time a number one did that? And with any quarterback, back up. I don't know.
All the way back to that year when the Arizona Cardinals went like 20 games without a wide receiver catching a touchdown.
Right. Come on. This is where we're at, guys, with this guy. I don't think anybody's upset Deontay's going, though. Tortilla says Mason Rudolph, James Washington combo is the best combo I've seen since Big Ben and AB. Field of Steel. What up, bro? He says, what up, yours? Don't just want a cookie. Want milk with that cookie. How many AFC championship loss games did Cowher Knoll get the Steelers to? Tomlin, not many. We do not care. Corey says we need to stop counting above 500. I agree, because this is technically is a success, yes, but realistically, compared to the teams that are successful, it's not success. It's not as good as any of them because they're winning playoff games. If you're not winning in the playoffs or Super Bowl, then you're not winning. That's what you play for. You don't play for 10-7. I couldn't agree more. Tomlin, RB says Tomlin gets a free pass because everyone is afraid to be called a racist. You know what? You're not wrong.
I mean, everyone, Lovie Smith was criticized relentlessly.
I've never criticized Lovie Smith in my life.
Cincinnati was criticized relentlessly.
Denny
Green was criticized.
You know what? I liked Denny Green. I thought Denny Green was cool. I liked he had a cool attitude and that voice. Let's see, but you know what? You're
playing to win the game. Oh, that was
if Tomlin were white, he wouldn't get half the glaze he does now. Sorry, it's a fact. RB, I do agree. And again, people that disagree, they will agree with you eventually, as the people that said that we were racist in the beginning, winning early and not winning ever since. It changes. So just give it time. Those people need a little more time to see things that smart people see. No. Field of Steel, Mike. Brother Tomlin only been to 2 AFC championships. Cowher and Knoll did it many times in their tenure.
And he still had the same amount of Super Bowls as Cowher.
Let's see. Tortilla says never say never, but never. Phil is still seriously, fellas, still a locker room needs new head coach and coaches. Period. I think these are the obvious things, and half of the fan base, for whatever reason, they disagree. But I think those are the things that the obvious things that fans are seeing. Settled in the octagon. I like this. Rick Ramirez, what's up? Welcome to the board to Rick Ramirez on the board. Great seeing you, sir. Tortilla, if you got red paint, you paint the barn red. I don't know what that means, but it sounds really smart. It sounds like there's a lot of thought into it, whatever that means, and I'm just not that smart of a person. Vegas, 13 passing touchdowns in 25 games for KP. Listen, I'm not saying that KP was great, and I never will. But 13 of those touchdown passes, none of them went to Deontay Johnson. Omit the L in my first comment. Vegas, my friend's a Bears fan. He couldn't. I like Lovey. When it was Lovey and Dungy, not Dungy. Who am I thinking about? Head coach for the Colts.
Tony Dungy.
Was it Dungy?
Yeah, Tony Dungy.
Yeah. I always get I can never remember Tony Dungy and Herm Edwards for some reason. Herm Edwards was the unsuccessful one.
Just wait.
Tony Dungy was a very successful black coach, and I liked him a lot. And whenever it was the Lovey Smith, Tony Dungy Super Bowl back in 07, I thought that was the coolest thing. How could you not, unless you are a total fucking asshole? But come on, it was. I mean, come on, right? Doug Williams, I thought that was cool as shit. I give credit where credit is due, but I'm also going to give you shit when shit's due. That's all. Kenneth, my man, he says, is Pickett's name forever mud in Pittsburgh? It wasn't until yesterday. It wasn't until he backed out on those little kids.
Yeah.
And then said he was going to do it after he got traded. And then he backed out again. That was the cherry on the cake for Pickens. People didn't know what to think about Pickens.
Yeah.
But I think after this, maybe a couple other things come out over time. Maybe he says something in Dallas. I think he is his name will be forever mud in Pittsburgh. Unfortunately, it could have been a really good thing here. Tomlinsonism. Mike Tomlin quotes, says John and Tortilla. Mark Malone, I wonder how many Super Bowls Kyle would have had he had Ben for 15. I agree. If he would have had Ben his whole entire career, it would have been interesting for sure. Mike, and I got one more. Let me get into one more thing here before we do start ready to wrap the show up. Who do you think, Mike, out of the quarterbacks that came out in this year's draft? I'm talking Cam Ward and Jackson Dart, 2 first-rounders, Tyler Shock in the 2nd round, Milroe, Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round, Shador in the 5th round, 6th round in abundance, Kyle McCord, Will Howard, Riley Leonard, Graham Mertz, Cam Miller, 7th round, Curtis Rourke out of Indiana. Mike, who out of these quarterbacks in this year's draft do you feel would be the most successful? And I don't even say immediately because guys don't work at that pace. Some guys going to get the opportunity early. But out of these guys, Mike, out of all these quarterbacks that came out in this past draft, who's going to be the most successful and long tenured for his success in the NFL?
Oh, wow. That's a tough one because Will Howard, or not Will Howard, excuse me, Jackson Dart and Cam Ward in the 1st round go into 2 organizations that have only had small pockets of success and competency. I think they're going to be doomed. I think they have talent, but can the organizations around them build what they need? So, God, it might be Will Howard coming in out of the 6th round.
Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something if Will Howard becomes the successful quarterback out of this draft class? If he becomes the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback, he gets himself involved in maybe a championship somewhere down the road. I think that would be something else. But I'm looking at all these names. Again, you got Cam Ward, you got Jackson Dart. Like, they are going to get opportunities probably earlier than these other guys. But as I'm looking at these names, it's up in the air. It really is up in the air. That's why I wanted to throw the question out there. Whoever else, Kenneth on the board is saying Will Howard, John saying Will Howard. Out of those guys, again, Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, Tyler Shock, Jalen Milroe, Dylan Gabriel, Shador Sanders, Kyle McCord, Will Howard, Riley Leonard, Graham Mertz, Cam Miller, and Curtis Rourke. The quarterbacks all selected in this year's draft. Who's going to be the most successful in their career? Is this considered a strong quarterback class? I don't think so.
I don't think it was as well.
I think if your top two guys are Cam Ward and Jackson Dart, and that's where it's at. Let's see. Let me get a couple more of these messages on the board, Michael. We are going to start getting ready to wrap things up here on the show. Mark Malone says Ward, Dart, Milroe, Sanders will all suck. He also says who will suck at the least. Definitely a hard call.
That's going to be the tough one.
That is going to be a tough one. So it's going to be interesting, guys. Again, camp a little less than a month away. 2 months we're going to be playing preseason games. Won't be long now. Mike, why don't you go and tell everybody about the website?
The2dumbyinzers.com. Y'all know what's over there. Go check it out. A lot of people check it out. I check the numbers every day. I thank you all for going over there and taking a look-ski. I appreciate it. So check it out at the2dumbyinzers.com.
Go check it out, everybody. www.the2dumbyinzers.com. That's www.the2dumbyinzers.com. All right, guys, question of the day. This is the trivia question. Mike, put on your thinking cap. Everybody on the board, everybody at home. This is the question of the day. This also refers back to the Steelers Super Bowl against the Green Bay Packers. We got some reasons to do that this year. Of course, we have their quarterback to beat us. This was the last time we made it to a Super Bowl. Yada, yada, yada. Guys, this is the question of the day. Mike, here we go. Name the 5 offensive line starters from Super Bowl 45 for the Steelers against Green Bay. Mike, who were the 5 guys that started on the offensive line? Of course, we're building our offensive line right now. But the question of the day, who were the 5 starters the last time the Steelers advanced to the Super Bowl? That is the question of the day. Take a minute to think that over. We're live 5 days a week right here, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on YouTube. All right, question of the day. Name the 5 starting offensive linemen from the Steelers' last Super Bowl team, which was Super Bowl 45 in Dallas against Green Bay. Mike, who were the 5 Hogs?
I have 0 guesses.
You have guesses. Come on. I know you do.
Let's go.
You're just not thinking deep enough.
Let's see. Pouncey was hurt. So Sean Mahan at center. Was Fanico's on the Jets by this point? Is it Trey Essex at one of the guards? Marvell Smith, was he gone at this point? I don't know, dude. I have no idea.
All right, just take a couple more guesses. You were getting close. Close by meaning that you got none right so far. But
yeah, I know.
I still want to hear some more. I still want to hear some more of these guesses.
Chris Kimoyatu. I'm out. I don't know.
You got the center right. It was the backup, Mike, because Pouncey was out.
Yeah.
But the other 4 players are, yes, Richard got one on the board. Phil Steele got he got one on the board. Guys, the starting left tackle was Max Starks. Big Max Starks. Left guard, Doug Legursky.
Oh, God.
Doug Legursky.
Wow.
Mike, you got the center. The right guard was Ramon Foster. Isn't this somebody that you now who do you fight with on Twitter?
Trey Essex.
Trey Essex. That's right.
I blocked Ramon Foster because he's a I don't like him.
And then also, Mike, the right tackle is Cologne.
Willie Cologne. That was a shitty offensive line.
Right.
That was a shit offensive line.
Kennedy says that show will be horrible. A lot of people say that. Who was it on the board that wanted Shaw? They wanted Show real bad here. I can't remember who it was. Who was that, Mike?
Mark Malone.
Was it Mark? Mark, was that you? Was you the Show guy? One of you?
Show can't handle inside pressure.
John says, by the time the question of the day comes, I'm already too stoned to answer. Starks, Kiyamatu, Adams, Foster. Corey says, Max Starks, DeCastro, Pouncey, Trey Essex. Vegas, Kiyamatu. Nah, all good, guys. Great job. Phil still says he got 3. And he says he got 2. All good. That was a tough one.
That was too.
I mean, you're trying to pick between, different years and different, one guy changes out. So that was,
Yeah.
that
was a bad offensive line. Like, for me, Ramon Foster was vastly overrated. He's lucky he had Lev Bell as his running back and Big Ben as quarterback, masking all of his mistakes.
Yeah, right.
I thought he's terrible. Then had the gall, the audacity to criticize Lev Bell for trying to get money after he just got a big contract. Get the fuck out of here. I always hated Ramon Foster.
There's Corey. You know what? I did too. Corey says, damn, I was so wrong. I blocked that. I blocked that Super Bowl out of my mind entirely. There's nothing that I enjoy thinking back about that Super Bowl. And even in a Dallas loss in the 90s, there's things about that game I like to go back and think about. That loss to Green Bay, it was just demoralizing. There was nothing about that game that's memorable to me as a Steeler fan. Hey, thanks, Phyllis Steele. We will see you next time, my friend. Mike, before we do get a wrap up, you got anything before we start getting ready to wrap it up?
I got nothing. Just everyone have a damn good weekend.
Well, it's hot, and we still have a whole nother day.
We have a whole nother day. Holy fucking!
On top of that, we're going into vacation. I know I do that. I sometimes I mix it up, Yinzer Joe. When I'm looking for these trivia questions, they're a little bit more complicated, and then I throw it out there, and I don't know. Maybe I'll start doing ones with one answer, but I know that I tend to do that sometime. I apologize. Vegas says, who even rated Foster? Wasn't he undrafted?
He was a bum. He's a bum. Riding high on borrowed wings.
So there you go, guys. As I did mention earlier in the show, tomorrow after we do cut out for the day, we will be heading to our summer vacation, which we will come back on July 7. So all next week, we'll be finishing up tomorrow. We'll be off next week. We'll be coming back the following Monday. So that is, I just want to make sure I did put that out there. Also, guys, I do want to say that we are going to, when we come back, we do have a campaign that we're going to run. Do you feel like you have what it takes to be a dumb Yinzer? I'm sorry. You wouldn't, of course, be 2. You would be, you know what, Mike, it is. There really isn't. It's just the name of the show.
Yeah.
People don't think, people see me or whatever. They're like, hey, the dumb Yinzer. It's the name of the show. So initially it was the 2 of us, but over time, many people have come and gone, and some people still involved, Mike, that just aren't involved with us as much anymore, doing their own shows, things like that. I wish nothing but the best for. But guys, do you have what it takes to be a dumb Yinzer? If you think that you do, next week when we come back on July 7th, guys, we will be starting a campaign to bring in somebody from the viewership to be one of the new dumb Yinzers right here, holding the weight of Mike's box right on your shoulder. We will be, I don't know, Mike, if I want to make it like a competition. I don't know what I want to do just yet entirely, but I do know that if you are interested, think about it on a part-time, full-time, whatever the case may be, what works best for you. Consider, because when we do come back from vacation, we will be putting something together to bring in a new dumb Yinzer. That's right, a new dumb Yinzer, guys. So keep that in mind. We will start on that when vacation concludes. I think we're gonna have a little bit of fun with it. We'll make sure that it'll be a lot of fun. So if you think you got what it takes, which I think that everybody on our board does, we have the smartest board in amongst all Steeler fans. I say this often, Mike, and I don't say it because there are on the board. I say it because I honestly believe it. I say this outside of the show, don't I? I say that we have the smartest viewership amongst Steeler fans. We do.
We do. I like them. I love them because they are smart. They know what's up.
Absolutely. They keep us sharp. They keep me on my toes.
Dude, they have pop-up stuff like I never even heard of before. I was like, fuck yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, man. You're going to have rated voting. You know what? I'm going to stay away from politics entirely. If anybody, I don't think that they're such a great idea, especially at this time, guys. But let me get into a couple more of these messages. But yes, we are going to be doing something when we come back from break to bring in a new dumb Yinzer right here on the show. So again, keep that in mind, guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun with it, and going to make the process a lot of fun. So keep that in mind. I'm going to start right here. Vegas says you just lost a day in your mind. That sucks. Yeah, Mike's already on vacation.
I am too.
John says Foster's on DK Sports. DK rubs me wrong. I would have taken his lunch money daily in high school. Is that his deal? I gotta be honest. I've never listened to him.
He's that whole outfit over there. A lot of them are just.
Never listened to him. Yinzer Joe trying to kill my brain. Now I got to drink. Have a great vacation. Hopefully, well, maybe we'll see you back tomorrow, Richard, because Mike is an entire day off, which that vacation won't start till tomorrow. Feel the Steel. Hey, Jen should be a Yinzer, not me. I'm too crazy. Oh, Feel the Steel. Out of his mouth, of course, not ours. John says Ryan could come to Vegas if he gets bored. Vegas, and I will show him time that can't be talked about after the fact. I like that. I like that. Vegas, it'll be like Fight Club. That's right. Feel the Steel or Steeler Freak. Vegas. I don't know. Is he asking a question?
I have no idea what's going on.
Okay,
These comments right now. I think everyone's hit the wall.
John Vegas, I saw Ryan Vegas. It's a new movie. Also, just don't bring in ping pong players.
There's table tennis.
You know what? Do we know any ping pong players? Oh, I guess we do know one.
There's table tennis. Vegas
and I. Okay, I see what you're saying. All right. I would love to get out. I would love to get out to Vegas.
Table tennis.
I would love to get out to Vegas, but I can't travel. I don't have a smart ID or a real ID. Apparently, I can't go anywhere. Apparently, I'm not good enough to go anywhere because I don't have a star on my license.
Just take him away from me, please, for a week.
I would love to go to Vegas.
I'll ship him. I'll ship him out. I'll throw you on one of the rail cards.
A star in my eye. What a dumb thing. I could always try. I could always drive though. Phil is still talking about the new dumb Yinzer. Okay, yeah, he's still talking about the new dumb Yinzer.
Okay,
the new dumb Yinzer. I like that, Mike. The new dumb Yinzer.
The new dumb Yinzer. We're gonna steal that. That's gonna be the title of the competition.
Well, you don't tell them we're gonna steal, you jackal.
Oh fuck no! I just flat out tell people I'm stealing their ideas.
It's gonna be a lot of fun though, guys. Seriously, if you guys are serious, the commitment, again, it's very loose. Finch is still involved, Derpy's still involved, everything like this. So it's not gonna be too demanding. Think it over. After the break, we will be kicking that campaign off. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun, guys. I hope that we could. I think we could make something out of it. Corey says I'm okay going off grid. F some ID. Yeah, man. I do want to say thank you, everybody, for coming and checking us out and hanging out today. I appreciate each and every one of you. We wouldn't do it without you. Thank you so much. We also want to thank everybody on the board. You guys are awesome, as always, and always keep things interesting here on the show. Everybody at home, whether it be in your car, whether it be on the gym, whether it be wherever you may be, thank you as well. Yinzer Joe says, hell, I already have Yinzer in my name. Exactly, man. Don't when we come back, don't hesitate to throw your name in the hat. This is gonna be a lot of fun. Believe me, we're gonna have fun with it, guys. Mike, what else? Anything before we roll?
I got nothing. Everyone have a good day. I will see you tomorrow.
We will see you tomorrow.
I got it right this time.
We do not start vacation until tomorrow after the show. There you go. Yinzer Joe. See you, Vegas. Also, guys, I do want to say hit the like, subscribe, share button, all that kind of fun stuff. If you haven't, it helps us out. And you can also visit our social media anywhere you may go. Facebook, X, Instagram, Threads, anywhere, plus our website, guys. Go check it all out. A lot of cool stuff. Mike does a lot of work over on the website. But besides for that, Mike, speak now or forever hold your peace.
I got nothing.
All right, everybody. We will be back. I just want to make that clear. We will be back tomorrow, despite what Mike says. We will be back tomorrow to wrap up the week and head into the vacation. So we hope to see everybody then. For Mike in the Steeler Central Mobile Studio, for myself, the two dumb Yinzers, have a great Thursday. Stay cool. Stay safe.